Chapter 8. Millie had an uninterrupted, dreamless sleep, which was easily the best sleep she had gotten in a long time. It was still dark, but she could hear the whispers of small chit-chat from the others in the barracks. Millie decided to wrap herself up deeper in her blanket, preserving her heat and closing her eyes, waiting for the light to blare to life. It didn't take long for that to happen, and Gorge gave his signature mumbled curse from above. He jumped down from his bunk immediately, his boots slamming onto the pavement in front of Millie. Gorge gave a pained stretch. "How did you sleep, Pinky?" he asked. "Fine," Millie replied as she peered out of the slit of her blanket. She didn't move, and Gorge could only see her eyes when he turned to face her, the rest of her body wrapped tightly in the blanket. Gorge chuckled. "You seem comfortable." She didn't know if he was poking fun at her. "It's cold," she replied moody, and then something crossed her mind. "Where were you? I didn't see you all night." "Miss me?" Gorge asked innocently. Millie just glared at him from inside her cocoon. He shrugged. "Went out. Talked with people." Millie came out of her cocoon, frowning. "People outside the barracks?" Gorge nodded. "Sly's little tussle yesterday got me curious. It wasn't an isolated incident. There were quite a few fights that broke out yesterday. Seems like there are more people who are coming to blows than just Sly and his girlfriend." "Watch it, tough guy," Sly said with a bit of steel in his voice. Gorge twirled around, clearly being taken by surprise, and looked slightly up. Sly was sitting on the top bunk right next to them. The coldness drained from Sly's face, replaced with a warm smile. "Even I can get the jump on you, eh, Gorge?" Sly laughed. Gorge scowled at him, clearly not amused. He turned to Millie accusingly. "And you couldn't have given me a heads up?" "You had my utmost attention," Millie replied defensively. "Not my fault." "Seems like Hammerburst's death has had an interesting reaction," Sly said, adding to the previous conversation. "Any others pass away that you heard of?" Gorge shook his head. "Most of the fights were like anything you'd see at a tavern brawl." Sly rubbed the scar on his cheek. "Some tavern brawls you've witnessed," he replied sarcastically. "That wound could have easily come from a broken bottle, buddy," Gorge shot back. "A broken bottle, buddy?" Millie questioned. Sly smiled and Gorge sighed. "A broken bottle, buddy," he clarified. "Better?" "A better broken bottle, buddy," Millie replied, putting some thought into it. "It's like the start of an alliteration." Gorge just rolled his eyes. "Yeah, sure. Whatever." Sly yawned. "My point is that people are starting to lose their fear of falling out of line with the guards." Gorge nodded, but Millie feared and asked, "What is that supposed to mean?" "It means the guards aren't doing jack when it comes to these fights. They didn't do anything to Illis," Gorge explained. "Fuck, they even gave her a goddamn promotion for what she did." "I think these are going to lead to the matches being a lot more physical," Sly added. "We should add a bit more caution." Millie rubbed her damaged rib. It was healing nicely. She didn't really notice it yesterday, but still thought, more physical than this? That thought made her shudder. "Maybe we'll get a break today," Gorge said hopefully. Both Sly and Millie had their doubts about that. Millie and Kristen decided to hit the showers before breakfast. As like last time, Illis was standing in front of the place with two other women. She seemed in good spirits and gave a friendly nod to Millie and Kristen as they approached and entered the showers. Thanks to Illis, it was commonly known that the women had the showers to themselves for the morning. After that, it was fair game. They then met the rest of the group at the cafeteria. Everyone was enjoying their meal to the best of their ability, until Malcolm came up with the dreaded news that Millie was expecting. Another match. "Each day you seem less and less enthused about this process, Malcolm," Gorge noted casually. Malcolm nodded in agreement. "Just a bit more on edge," he admitted. Kristen rose a brow. "How do you think we feel?" Malcolm pulled his collar nervously. "We're in different positions, ma'am." "So I'm well aware," Kristen replied coldly. "You at least know when we get a break?" Amon asked. "Sorry," Malcolm answered while scratching the back of his neck. "As I said in the beginning, I'm not kept in the loop." Amon nodded, and Malcolm saw the conversation wasn't going to get any better. "I'll take my leave then. 12 o'clock for your match then." And he hurried off. "Seems like our match will be a couple in," Sly noted. "At least it's less time sitting in those stands," Kristen said. "But watching those matches was fun," Omar countered, and Chase agreed. They had a longer breakfast than normal. After that, they just slowly made their way to the arena. The team was in their locker room half an hour before the match started. So, we'll probably stick to a similar plan as last time, Sly told the team. Let's try to use more caution when we push the enemy's side. Get with your squad leaders and hash out the details. Sly got with the center group and turned to Millie and Omar. I want you two to take whatever high ground there is and support us from there. With your covering fire, we'll secure the center of the arena. You two did do pretty well with that last time. The compliment made Millie feel a bit better about the coming match, giving her a boost of confidence. Both Omar and Millie nodded in understanding. The group went through little details about plans and checking gear before the match. Millie got to know the twin brothers Roger and Connor a bit more as they shared stories about their lives. It seemed to settle both their nerves before the match. About 5 minutes before the match, Amon noticed something. "Sly," he said, and nodded towards the TV screen. It was black up until now. There was just some plain white text on the screen. Squad 6 versus Squad 7. "That's new," Millie muttered. "Guess the doctor needed the day off," Omar joked. Gorge walked up and asked, "Who's Squad 7? Sly gave a heavy sigh and answered, "Shay." "Oh yeah," Gorge chuckled. "This is going to get physical." "What the hell's the beef with you two?" Roger asked. "Don't know," Sly replied. "Maybe I'll ask her as she's caving my skull into the ground." Sly motioned Kristen to come over. "I don't think they'll be subtle about this." "In what way do you mean?" she asked. "I think they'll be aggressive, push us hard," Sly explained. "We could let them push us and pluck them off." Kristen nodded. "Maybe hold the center a bit longer than usual?" Gorge nodded in agreement. "That would be adding to the use more caution plan." "Sounds like we're in agreement then," Sly replied, and the others nodded. The door opened and the team ventured out into the snowy arena floor. The sky was a colorless gray. Maybe a light snowfall would be coming in. There was a post planted in the ground with a screen on it. The screen looked like it showed the layout of the arena that was before them. The position of the crates looked the same as usual, to Millie at least. Two notable things she saw was what looked like a 2-story building on either side of the arena. That was where Omar and she were going. The second was a chest-high crate set in a line down the center of the map, with spaces here and there between them. "This is new," Gorge noted with a bit of curiosity, also studying the map. He didn't get much time as the buzzer blared to life, starting the match. No announcer or anything, but that didn't stop the team from jumping into action. "Let's go, squad," Gorge yelled and pushed down the right side of the arena. The middle and left squads began their move as well. Millie climbed the ladder to the second floor of the building she scoped out, with Omar a couple paces behind her. She could see her adversary setting up shop already at the building's window on the other side. She slammed into the right side of her window, out of the danger as one of the bullets missed her by centimeters. A gross paint sound came from behind Millie, followed by a splash of liquid that sprayed Millie's cheek, but her jacket suffered the most. She turned to Omar's direction, knowing he was gone. Millie's veins went ice cold. Omar's left eye had a distant nothingness look, while his right face... Millie didn't know if it was her own sanity waning, but that's when the carnage and the screaming began.